Hey guys, it's Daniel Faust from War Hero to Superhero and Learn and Live. It is Friday. I know you guys are probably just mentally checking out, but just one more time to join us for our War Hero to Superhero interviews. And we have an awesome person in the superhero battle room, prior veteran, and now he's a chef. He went to the CIA and all these other places. I kept reading his bio. I got too tired. I just couldn't read anymore. So he's going to tell you more than I can. And welcome to the Superhero Battle Room, Chef Bryan Jacobs. Thank you for joining.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for taking Friday and giving me some time on Friday. It's a heck of a day to be on a podcast because most people are clicking out, So, so I appreciate the time.
Oh, you're welcome. So let's go jump into your war hero story. How long did you serve? Where did you serve? And how was it overall?
Oh man, it's actually a long story. It's a long story, but a great story. And I guess I'll give you a condensed version. My whole family served. And so let me start there because everybody has served from even before Vietnam. I can trace back people who served in World War One, Korea, World War Two, obviously, Vietnam, so forth and so on. And so it was just this long lineage. I've even learned from the Civil War. I have family on both sides served in both aspects of the war. So it's in my blood. But it was actually something I was kind of inept to at first. I was like, I don't know if I want to serve right away. I think I want to be the first male to go to college before I serve and try to make that difference. And it was just one of those things where I come from very humble beginnings, though my dad did 20 years. 20 years really doesn't guarantee more than a very small paycheck for retirement.
Yeah.
And it wasn't this whole chapter 35, you can pass on benefits and you can go to school and all this other stuff. So it was new even the idea of me wanting to go to school. My family looked at me like I was, why? And it was like, they're like, you have an opportunity to serve your country. And it was finally down to my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was a chef during World War II. And that's where I really got my cooking perspective from, a lot of it. And he just told me, he said, my last wish is to see you go in the military and just get some direction in your life. And I really didn't understand any of that. I didn't understand what the military could provide to you. I didn't know it was giving you direction. I didn't know it was going to give you manners, but my dad was a Navy SEAL, so I had plenty of manners, let me tell you. And then he was a Master of Arms after being a SEAL, so I had plenty of do things the right way, and it was really unique. My grandfather actually, he said I was going to live long enough to see you graduate high school, and then my time on Earth is done. And I thought it was a joke. He died 7 days after I graduated high school.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was where this first time that I was like, whoa, kind of shocked by life here. And then, my Uncle Danny was a door gunner in a Chinook in Vietnam, and huge understanding there. I just learned some lessons when I was there in Iraq, and why he shook at night, because when you ride back helos, you do this. This is all you do. So anyways, I actually tried to join the Air Force at first. The recruiter was out for 3 days for lunch. And I was like, man, Navy guy grabs me up, takes me down to MEPS basically, or pre-test me, as he says, because he make sure I qualified for the military. And and next thing you know, I'm in MEPS, and I get to pick my job all of a sudden. And next thing you know, I'm either nuke or Navy corpsman. And I was like, well, what's nuke do? Oh, you don't want to do nuke. You don't want to do nuke. I'm like, all right, okay, why not? Well, dude, you would be in the bottom of a ship counting electrons and atoms and stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not cool. He's like, good looking guy like you, hospitals, nurses, hot young doctors. I'm like, yeah, high five. Let's do this. And down at the bottom, this big was like a little picture, had some Marines running out of an AEV. And of course, at the time, I was like, well, what's this FMF thing? They're like, oh, don't worry about it. It's optional. So I go to boot camp, do the boot camp thing. Wanted to be a SEAL. Actually, when I found out when it was a Navy boot camp, I couldn't be a SEAL unless I dropped my rate. You can't be designated and go into SEAL teams anymore, which is unique. So, which I learned why, which is I respect it, but I wasn't going to drop being a corpsman because I knew it was a good job. Even though my dad called me a couple of weird names that started with a P and started with a C on the next side,
Yeah.
and yeah, so and I didn't really understand that. So, but I'm sitting there and I get into core school. Minute one, first like 30 seconds I'm there, a chief walks in, an HM2 walks in, and they say, 99% of the males in this class are going to go to Fleet Marine Force. The average lifespan of a Navy corpsman in combat is 30 seconds.
Wow.
I'm like, first off, what's this Fleet Marine Force thing? That I have to now 99% of it's going to do, and what has combat got to do with me being a corpsman?
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue what I was signing up for. And I raised my hand and he was like, "You want to leave?" And I was like, "No, chief. I thought it was optional." He's like, "This is your option." There's faith. So I graduated. But I tell you what, being a Navy corpsman, having the honor of calling yourself a Navy corpsman first off, but then calling yourself a Fleet Marine Force corpsman, what another honor. And I didn't realize what that honor meant until I looked back on my service and realized that I started with 77 people in my core school class, graduated with only 22. Mm-hmm. Out of that 22, 16 of us went to FMF training. Out of that 16, only 6 graduated from Fleet Marine Force. So you talk about an honor. I mean, the Marine Corps says the few and the proud. I always say they're talking about Navy corpsmen because we're a lot less. So, but yeah. And so ended up kind of getting an opportunity to try out for recon. Ended up, I don't want to say breaking an ankle when I was in FMF. And still graduated, still made it through because I was not going to give up and repeat training. And went to Beaufort Naval Hospital to recoup and regain strength. And I was going to go back out for recon. And then this whole 9/11 thing happened. And I'm sitting at this desk and the red phone rings. And when the red phone rings, that's not a good phone. No. And I looked up at the screen and World Trade Center is on fire. And as I'm watching, I see another plane hits the second one. And I already knew that it was not good. And so red phone rings. I go down to the quarterdeck. They say, "Go pack everything you got." And I was literally cut orders within 2 to 3 weeks for 2nd Marine Division. And the crazy thing is September 11th is my mother's birthday, which is an even crazy thing because, instead of me calling her, like, "Hey, happy birthday," she calls me, she goes, "Where are you going?" Because she already knew. Mm-hmm. And literally I was like, "I don't know." I said, "I just know it just happened." And I said, I just was told to pack everything. And so, yeah, ended up 2nd Marine Division, went to 2nd Line of Reconnaissance Battalion, which what an amazing unit. You talk about a multifunctional, just legit bunch of great Marines served with, did the invasion to Iraq in 2003, along with my younger brother, who was actually a Marine with 3-7. Mm-hmm. We signed the Sullivan Act. So I was with Task Force Tarawa. TT2, and he went with I forget what task force was on our flank, but I did the initial battle of Nasiriyah, did all that for the first 21 days, and then ended up doing every major firefight from there all up to crit, and came back home and was just like, what was that? I mean, I don't know. I can't describe combat other than there's nothing else like it. And I just, it's just I look back and I just know that there's no other words to describe that. But it was something so unique that I felt safe in a weird way because I was there with warfighters and I knew that they were there to do the job. So it was different. Then ended up coming back home and did a couple CACs and Mount Towns and all this other crazy stuff, and then went back to Iraq in 2005 and stayed down the Anbar province and hung out off of MSR Tampa around Korean Village in that whole area there. So that was a lovely stay. And and then the story changes. I was trying to get orders to come back stateside and go to a clinic, but being an FMF corpsman, you just don't get that lovely option. and
Yeah.
detailers are not respectful of who you are or what you do, because most of them have never deployed. Most of them have never been in combat. I'm in combat asking for orders to go to a clinic just to get some downtime. I've been operational for the last 5 years. I'm
That's a long
tired.
time.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm ready to just give me some downtime. Let me recoup whatever I have in my brain housing group. Let me digest it. Let me get some place for it. And ended up coming to find out I was given orders to a clinic, and then I was deaded back out to Second Marine Division as soon as I showed up. And I was just like, this
Wow.
ain't happening. Yeah. So I left Iraq November 5th, and I was out of the Marine Corps by November 12th.
Wow. So that's
Yeah.
crazy. So their version of sabbatical is like, hey, we came you here for a few minutes, and then it's like you get in process and you're like, you're not supposed to be here.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what I did. I ended up calling the detailer out of Norfolk. And I just said, hey, I said, where am I deaded? Am I deaded? And if so, where? They're like, Second Marine Division. I was like, well, that's where I'm coming from. They're like, no, we shouldn't unpack. And I'm like, I'm not taking orders.
Mhm.
And I mean, no, and I'm not trying to say like I was an amazing sailor, but I mean, I had Master Chiefs calling these detailers that were Master Chiefs of Second Marine Division of Corpsmen. Like, he was the Master Chief Petty Officer of all Corpsmen in Second Marine Division, calling. My recon chief was calling, like, and it was not. They wouldn't do it, and it was just. And I get it and I understand, but then again, it's like, this sanity and the stuff that we face, and the things we have to go through to be Navy corpsman. It's like you need a little recoup.
Definitely so. So November 12th, you got out. What year was that?
2005.
So in 2005, November 12th, like for myself, I got out July 1st of 2012. How was it? Like, how was that transformation process? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Was it really simple now because you're like, hey, I went through hell and civilian life is simple?
No, actually, it was a complete opposite. I didn't realize that I was leaving one war to step into another. And the thing it is, I didn't understand. I didn't know me because everything I knew was HM3 FMF Jacobs. I was this high speed, low drag. I had pride. I wore a uniform. People respected me. I had fellowship. I had camaraderie. I had things. I had everything. I didn't know how much I needed it. And I came to the civilian world, and none of that existed. It was every man for himself. It was a dog eat dog world, and it was not a place of hand ups at the time. And the hard part was we were fighting this mentality coming out of of most of the jobs I was coming into. I had no people skills. I couldn't get along with people. I couldn't communicate. And the hard part is it was me. It was me. It was me not understanding how to be a civilian, because I have been so, in a way, institutionalized of the way things were running and the type of people I would, communicate with. And it was like, it was such a awakening, that the awakening actually left me homeless.
Wow. Yeah, I've been pretty close myself, but I never actually got there. So going homeless, trying to communicate, trying to look for jobs, unfortunately, the standard veteran track that we're trying to rewrite in that particular regard. What made you transform? What got you out of it? What made you start this transformation from war hero to superhero?
It was a self awakening, and I really don't know, other than the fact is I really. And I know this is gonna be a weird thing to talk about, but I really had a difference of back then of who God was, and who He was in my life, and what to believe. And people can choose to believe or not to believe. That's up to them. But I believe everybody's chosen with a purpose. That purpose may not have come into your life yet, or you don't know if you even feel like you have purpose, but everybody does. And I feel like I was really chosen to live, because there was plenty of times in Iraq that I could tell you that I know there's no way. And now I look at where I was in my life and question again, there's no way. And I ended up having an awakening, so to speak. And it was something kind of my grandfather used to say to me. He says, you have to get your life together, son, because no one else will for you.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was, I was on a bench. I was actually Hampton Roads Bay Bridge Tunnel next to the VA. I'm on a bench, or like
Mm.
I guess it's like a bench, but I'm sitting there and I hear this voice, and it says that to me. And I look at it as if it was, I don't know if it was a sign or if it was somebody walked by me, but that erupted something where I said, I've got to do what I love. And I was trying to go to culinary school at the time. And I just said, I'm going to go do this. And I went and signed up at the Culinary Institute of Virginia, homeless, actually. No clue. Didn't tell them I was homeless.
That's
Just
a
showed up.
huge school to go and apply to really just go from like, I'm homeless, I don't know what I'm doing, to going to the CIA. My wife is not a chef, but a prep chef, and she worked at Le Cordon Bleu and stuff like that. And you went to the CIA, and you're like, all right, gonna go all in, bam, that's it.
Well, I went to the CIL, so it's Culinary Institute of the CIV, Culinary Institute of Virginia. And I went to Bocuse in Lyon, France, and got my double masters in culinary.
Wow.
So that's where the big boy school comes in.
Yeah.
So which is way part of the journey. So I went to CIV. And for some reason, I just got it. Cooking is like the military. You have to take orders.
Mhm.
You have to give orders, but you have to attention to detail. It's functional chaos in the kitchen, and you have to coexist in that. And I was just like, well, this is kind of like the military, and it just fit. Yet I started being able to communicate in a different language. I was learning how to communicate as culinary, not just in jargon of military. And I was fitting in with people whom I would understand me. They started to mentor me, and I was given a great opportunity. I moved to Florida in 2010. After graduating culinary school, I was living in a place. It was amazing. I got an opportunity to come south. I worked for a master chef for 5 years.
Wow.
And then became the private chef for the Anheuser-Busch family for Augusta, Virginia Bush. I was their private chef while going to school at USF, SM, getting a bachelor's degree. And then, life took a big left turn on me. And because all during this process, I had a younger brother who also had gotten out of the military in 2005, also went homeless, also was a professional couch surfer. Like, he was out in Cali and the Nevada area, wherever he could find, he was bunking up. And he eventually made his way back to the East Coast. And unfortunately, in 2014, Memorial Day weekend, he took his life to over veteran suicide, to be exact.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, unfortunately, we're still losing about 20 a day still to this day. So it's one of the fights I know for us that we're trying to go and do and save people, because when a person has belongingness and purpose, then they have that motivation. It sounds like that you got it, and he was still struggling with that particular thing of finding belonging and purpose. So that probably that awakening is fueling you to go. And now we just need to go over and to light that flame into others, so then we can go over and bring the light back.
Yeah, well, I found a lot of passion in food is what I found. And that's what I tell people, food saved me. And I didn't really have purpose. I didn't know what I wanted to be yet. So it gave me a lot of passion, but it didn't give me the purpose. And because I was like, am I going to be a restaurateur? Am I just going to do this private chef thing? What am I going to do with my life? What have I been chosen to do? And for some reason, something just spoke to me, and I said, and I was literally I was serving lunch to a set of board members for USF. And within this group sat multi-billionaires. And when I say that, like the founder of Applebee's, who is also a Marine veteran himself.
Cool.
And that's really cool. Yeah, he's a cool dude. And I said out loud in this meeting, I said, I want to take veterans who have no passion or no purpose and train them as cooks and get them jobs and help them find what I found. And he looked right at me and says, what do you need? And out of that loss of my brother came this purpose. We're giving homeless, displaced, and second chance veterans some passion and purpose through culinary. And
that's really cool. When did you guys start that?
So we started that literally the same year I lost my brother in 2014. Not long after, within 3 to 4 months, I had my first couple classes. But they were, when I say crash course, they were crash course. And I was looking back at it and looking at how this thing has grown from where it's at to where it's gone now. It's amazing because I had no clue. I had to look a little bit deeper into myself to understand what it needed to do. So, it was 7 days of 10-hour days of beating knowledge into you. And I was just like, we got to do this. And we're giving them jobs at the end of the week. I was like, okay, one thing led to another. And I was like, okay, it's not long enough. We went to 2 weeks, the next class. It wasn't long enough until now, which 2017 rolled around and I've come back and we'll get to that. But it's now come into a 14-week reintegration organization that focuses on behavior and habit health training through culinary arts.
That's still a fantastic way to go over and take, and you're learning and then you're living, you're trying it out and then you're going over and refining it. And that's a beautiful thing because we just don't want to just throw out junk,
No.
So that was really cool.
No, I don't want to be another program that a veteran goes through and goes, I didn't really do anything. And, we've had 46 veterans come through the program now. And we're a small 501c3 out of Sarasota. And looking really to, I guess you can say, spread our legs or stretch our legs for the most part across the United States. In the perspective of, we get calls all the time from like LA, from Las Vegas, from Texas, obviously before COVID-19, but saying, hey, we need this program. And right now I have a feeling we're going to need it even more because of the amount of emotional displacement that's probably been caused from job loss or from even with me, I've had issues with the way, because in Iraq, if you all of a sudden you see a lot of people and all of a sudden they all disappear, it's a really bad thing. So like a lot of triggers, are happening and a lot of emotional distress I can see. I've not to say I learned how to cope, but I learned how to come back to reality. And it's taken many years to put myself in that perspective. And I wanted to use this as a tool to give to those who are seeking to find that passion and purpose again.
That sounds fantastic. Hopefully you get a franchise opportunity to go over and to get that up and rolling. So in other cities.
Yeah, well, it's great because, what's happened is I took it one more step further, and I think it will go back to 2015 where, Vet to Chef was still running. It wasn't a nonprofit yet, but I got a great opportunity to go to France. And I went to France and went to the Institut Paul Bocuse, which is the highest level of education you can receive in the world in culinary. I got a double master's from the Institut Paul Bocuse, well as a college out of Finland called Haaga-Helia. Which is an innovation school. And so culinary mastery with innovation. And it was eye-opening. It took me back to my roots in a way, because I remember growing up like this as a kid and realizing how important it was to do things with your hands and your mind together, and what it took for me to be able to focus on these things, where it took me to. And I said, man, I've got to put this in this program. I've got to take them out of the world they're in and put them into the new world. And how do I do that? And everything I did when I came back to the States, I put that into what Vet to Success is and Vet to Chef. And I said, so we're going to focus on giving you alter egos. We're going to focus on teaching you not to see life for what it is, but for what it can become. Giving you all these things that a chef has to think in order to create something amazing. And it was a great opportunity for me to look back at my life and go, oh, I did this and it helped. I did this and it helped. And then realize that I'm doing psychology without even having been I'm my own patient. That's the crazy thing, right? So it's really interesting to see what it's become and where it's going currently. Into just even recently, I just did Guys Grocery Games. I was on the Food Network, and was able to talk about Vet to Success and start to put those feelers out there for the rest of the world to know that you can make a difference in the world by doing something you love.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. That's where I discovered you in that particular garden, started seeing your feed and wanted to go over and invite you. So last couple of things to finish out this interview so we can get you back to your busy day and myself. So if you had to go revisit yourself at the time when you got out of the service, or if you have a vet that you're currently mentoring, what 3 superhero tactics do you give them to empower them to have that purpose and have that belonging that you're talking about?
Have a vision. First off, have a vision of what you want to become. Have a vision, and then write that vision down, and then go backwards from where the vision is to where you're at currently, and then start notching away all the steps. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a ton. But then you have to take each one of those little steps and sidetrack it and go backwards to where you're at, to where you want to be with that step. What you're going to see is you're going to start to accomplish a whole lot more. Your goal setting. You're not waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, because you already have it in front of you. And you really have to have that mindset. And it's, start training your mind, also your body. Understand who you are. I would say what I'm still learning is about my emotional numbness. And because it's, I'm great with people, but I lack sometimes the emotional ability to have a relationship, and be able to admit your faults, because it's going to make you a better leader, a better friend, a better husband, a better wife. It's going to make you a better all around person. And these are things that I wish I would have gone back and finally to say to that guy, I would say, you're not a superhuman. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to fail. Because coming out of the military, I thought I was invincible and nothing could stop me. And when I failed, I thought the whole world was done. And to understand that these things are okay, but they're about the process of going forward. And I wish I would have known those things when I got out.
Yeah, that's a true transformation. The superheroes, knowing your weaknesses, knowing it's okay to go over and to fail, because you're not a failure. Failing is first attempt in life and going other ways in that direction. And then you can go over and fail forward to that next vision, to that next iteration that you need to go. Yep. So I wanted to thank you for going over and joining. Any recommendations on how to connect with you, sir?
Sure. I mean, we have the nonprofits, Bryan at vets2success.org, as well as we have a meal service. We're not national yet. We're just locally in our Florida area, which we do employ veterans and those who graduate from vet to chef. But we are serving more of a holistic, you are what you eat type approach, and food is medicine. So giving you that lifestyle approach where you can go conquer the day and be the superhero you would like to be and get the fuel for your body to conquer everything. So we're definitely, we're there with Bryan at RevelleMeals.com, and but you can find me at those email addresses. Look us up on Facebook, of course, vets2success.org, Reveille Meals, and then I have my own handle, Chef Bryan Jacobs, that you can follow along doing cooking videos, cooking group. Hey, good looking what you got cooking, and we're there just spreading love through food.
That's really awesome. So let's go over the comments real quick, and then we'll close it out. So looks like your friend Danielle loves connecting with you. She wanted to.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yep, she was just on an interview just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, Danielle's amazing. There's so many great people out there doing so many great things. And, I think that's the only thing I truly love about social media is the ability to not feel alone and be able to find other people who have the passion you do to go out and make a difference in the world. So, and that's, thank you for, taking the time and doing what you're doing to spread that message.
Yeah, you're welcome. While we're spreading the message, if anybody's watching, we have our 4 eyes on us right now, at least currently. So if you want to help Chef Bryan Jacobs get to the next level, go to War Hero Superhero, the TV show that airs every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. PST, also on the Easy Way Network. All you have to do is give 3 seconds of your time. We love you to watch 28 minutes and 55 seconds of the entire interview. Yes, I'm a mind counter of numbers, but 3 seconds is the minimum to go hit a view. If he gets the most views in 3 days, then we uplift him to the next level to our War Hero to Superhero TV show for an exclusive interview on there. And so far, Danielle's in the lead, I think, with roughly 200 views. So you got to rock it out, sir, if you want to go over and beat her. So she's top in the lead so far.
She's top. What can I say? It's going to be hard to beat.
It's just 3 seconds. That's all you have to get people to watch. It's 3 seconds. We want you to watch all 30 minutes, but that's it. That's what a count is. So wanted to thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys on Monday next week, jumping back into the bedroom. And if you guys are up later tonight, please go join the Easy Way Network for our virtual summit on how to take your life from surviving to thriving and the transformation from brick and mortar to broadcasting. So if you're interested in that, I will be live on the Easy Way Network at 9, and you can check out Chef Bryan Jacobs on his venues also. So thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys have a good day.
All right, you too.